She buried her husband, but then discovered something that shattered everything she believed in. Robert died quietly, in his sleep, on a Friday morning. Elena had woken up earlier than usual to make coffee and noticed that he wasn't moving. At first, it felt like he was simply asleep. Then came the cold wave of realization. They had been married for nearly 40 years. Robert had always been reserved, a bit distant, but honest. He'd served in the military, then moved into government work, something involving international affairs. He never shared much more, and Elena never pressed. In the 80s, it was common to respect silence. After the funeral, when the stream of friends and condolences dried up and the house fell silent, Elena found herself alone in a way she never had before. She began sorting through his belongings, not out of necessity, but to keep her hands busy. In the bottom drawer of Robert's old desk, tucked beneath old bills and forgotten pens, she found a metal cigar box. Inside were neatly tied letters and some yellowed documents in German. Most striking was a photograph, a woman in her 30s holding a small girl. On the back was written, "Für Robert mit Liebe, Anna, 1984. Elena froze. She had never seen these faces. Beside the photo was a letter dated November 1984, handwritten in a neat but nervous hand. Though Elena didn't speak German, she recognized a few words. Tochter. Angst. Bitte. She laid the photo on the table and carefully picked up the next letter. Her hands trembled. She didn't understand the language, but she understood what this was. A life she had never known about. When her son Michael came by that evening, she showed him the box. At first, he assumed it was some old military correspondence, but after reading a few lines, he went quiet. "These are love letters," he said gently. "She says she's pregnant. Scared. It sounds like Dad had a relationship with a woman in East Germany. And he might have had a daughter." The room went still. "He would have told me," Elena whispered, "if it mattered." Michael looked at her with sympathy, but he didn't respond. He already knew. If Robert hadn't told her, he must have had his reasons. But were they good enough? The next morning, Elena woke early after a sleepless night. Her head felt heavy, like after a fever. She made coffee and sat at the table holding the letters, not reading, just touching them, hoping they might somehow speak. Michael returned that afternoon with his laptop, scanner, and a worn German-English dictionary. "I'm starting to translate the letters," he said. "The first is from November 1983. Anna writes that she meets Robert every week. She's afraid. A neighbor works for the Stasi. She asks him to be careful." "And then?" Elena asked. "February 1984. She says she's pregnant. She begs him to take her with him. She says she has no one else." "And him?" "Only her letters. It looks like he never sent any replies, or didn't keep them. The last one's from October 1984. She writes, Robert, ich weiß, dass du nicht kommst. She knew he wasn't coming back. Michael paused. Watching his mother read someone else's love letters felt intrusive, painful. Does she have a last name? Elena asked. Just Anna in the letters. But there's this, he said, pointing to a document. A page with an address in East Berlin, dated 1985. Full name, Anna Berger. Elena's heart tightened. The woman now had a name, not just that woman. Anna. What do we do? She asked. I'll try to find her. It's easier now. I know someone in Berlin who has access to East German archives. I'll start there. You really want to dig into this? Don't you? Elena nodded silently. 3 days later, Michael called from the university. "Mom, I found her. Anna Berger, born 1951, same address. She passed away 2 years ago. She had a daughter, Lena Berger, born 1984. She lives in Potsdam." Elena gripped the phone. "She's alive?" "Yeah, works at an art museum. But there's a problem. I wrote her a letter. Official, through the museum. No response." "She probably thinks we're the enemy," Elena said bitterly, and immediately regretted it. The next morning, Elena opened a drawer, pulled out her passport, and said calmly, "We're going to Germany." Berlin welcomed them with gray skies and a light drizzle. Though it was spring, the city carried a weight, like history pressing against the buildings. Elena gripped her suitcase as if it might anchor her. Michael had everything planned. They stayed in a small hotel in Schöneberg, close to the archives. "We have a meeting in 2 days," he told her. "My contact at the Federal Archives found some records. There are declassified CIA files and possibly Stasi reports. He also knows someone who knew Anna." "And Lena?" Still silent. "I sent a second letter, more personal. Told her I'm Robert's son, that we don't want anything. Just to talk." "She probably hates us," Elena muttered. 2 days later, they met Thomas, a tall, gray-haired man with the calm manner of someone used to unearthing painful truths. "We found a file on Robert Scott," he said. "Codename Orion. He worked for the CIA in Berlin from 1982 to 1985. He did indeed have contact with an East German citizen, Anna Berger. The Stasi believed she was his lover. She was placed under surveillance in 1984. "And the child?" Michael asked. No direct confirmation, but in one neighbor's interrogation, he mentioned seeing Anna receive letters from a foreigner and that a child appeared soon after he disappeared. They visited Anna's old building on Strausberger Street. Number 14 was still standing, worn, musty, the stairwell dark and narrow. Elena stared at the second-floor door. "She lived here and waited," she said, "while he was already with me, in Seattle." The next day, just as they were about to give up, the hotel receptionist handed them a note. A small envelope, neat handwriting. "To Michael Scott. If you are truly Robert Scott's son, meet me tomorrow at the Haus der Geschichte Museum, 5 p.m., Lena." Elena read it twice. No greeting, no emotion, just fact and time. "What do we do?" Michael asked. "We go. She deserves to be heard, and I want to see her." They arrived early. The museum was quiet. Exhibits of old Berlin, fragments of the wall, photos of desperate faces trying to cross borders. At 5:03, a woman entered. About 40, short blonde hair, serious eyes. She walked straight toward them. "Michael?" "Yes," he stood. "And you?" "Lena," she said. "Come. We have things to discuss." Elena studied her face. Not Robert's eyes, but the shape of the mouth, the chin. That was him. Somehow, painfully, she saw him in this stranger. They walked off together. 3 people carrying the weight of one man's silence. They sat in the museum cafe. Lena didn't switch to German. Her English was fluent, crisp, and distant. "I got your letter," she said. "I didn't answer because I wasn't sure I should. I've lived my whole life believing I was abandoned before I was even born. And now you show up with this story that sounds too perfect to be true." "We're not asking for anything," Michael said. "She's just to understand, to know." "I know what happened," Lena said. My mother met an American who promised her everything. Then he disappeared. She tried to find him, wrote to the consulate, nothing. Just once, a military base responded politely, saying no such person was stationed there. After that, she stopped believing in anyone. Elena sat quietly. Lena wasn't angry, just tired. I found your mother's letters, Elena said. In Robert's desk. He kept them. And your photo, too. He didn't forget. He kept them. Lena scoffed. That doesn't mean he cared. He made a choice. To stay in your country. With you. He felt he couldn't come back, Michael added. There was surveillance, an operation at risk. He was scared. And my mother risked everything. Prison worse. But she still waited. She believed he loved her. Elena listened. I was angry too, she finally said. He died, and I found out he'd hidden a part of his life from me for decades. But now I know. He was just a man. Not perfect. Not brave. But maybe still loving in his own flawed way. Lena looked at her hands. He was my father. I just wish he had tried. Even once. Maybe he did, Michael said. In 1990, after the wall fell, he reached out to someone asking about safe travel. It was late, but maybe he tried. I was a teenager then, Lena said. I never heard about it. Mom never told me. She tried to protect you, Elena said gently. The next day, Lena invited them to her apartment. She had something to show them. She retrieved an old letter, typed, unsigned, and hidden in a book for years. I was a coward. I chose duty over love. I don't know if I'll ever find you again, but if you're reading this, know that I thought of you every damn night. I was afraid you'd vanish, or I would. I stayed silent because silence felt safer. Forgive me, I love you, and if we had a child, they'd be the best thing I ever did. They read it in silence. It was him, Lena said. She cried when she hid it. Never told me what it said. I found it after she died. As they said goodbye, Lena looked at them. I don't know what this means. We won't become a family, but I don't want this to be the last time. It doesn't have to be, Michael said. Let it happen naturally. No pressure. I don't know what he felt, she said, but I know memory isn't just pain. It can be something to build from. They hugged, not like family, but not like strangers either. A month passed. Elena returned to Seattle. The house felt different, not because it had changed, but because she had. She often reread the letters. They no longer brought sharp pain, but a kind of clarity. Robert was no longer just her husband. He was a man who had made choices, some good, some cowardly, and left behind two lives that had finally collided. Michael wrote to Lena occasionally, nothing heavy, just to keep a thread between them. Then came her reply, I'll come next week, no drama, just us. A gravestone isn't a place for forgiveness, but I want to see the man I called father in my head all these years, even if it's too late. She came alone. Michael picked her up. Elena waited in the car. Hi, Lena said, getting in. Hi, Elena replied. Thank you for coming. The cemetery was windy. The stone simple. Robert S. Scott, 1949-2024. Loving husband, devoted father. Lena stood back, staring not at the words, but at all the silence behind them. He feared ruining what he had, Elena said. But in the end, he broke what could have been. He left me in emptiness, Lena whispered, without a goodbye. He didn't know how, Elena said, or he couldn't. Did you forgive him? Lena asked. Not yet, Elena answered. But maybe now I won't carry that burden alone. Michael stood aside, watching the two women bound by one man. Later, they sat in Elena's kitchen. Lena looked at old photos, Michael as a child, Robert in uniform. He's laughing here, she said. I don't remember his voice, but this laugh, it's warm, maybe a piece of him. For me. At the door, Lena paused. I don't know what to call this. Not a family. Not yet. But I'd like to visit again. You're welcome, Elena said. No pressure, just time. Elena stood in the doorway as Lena and Michael drove off. Somewhere overhead, a plane rumbled. Life moved on, unaware of stories like theirs. But one story had found its ending. Not perfect, but honest.